We've got comfrey here for chopping and dropping. And we've got lots of volunteer mustard greens. These are giant red mustards. Now let's take a look at our honeyberries, which we planted in 2013. They first bared fruit last year. Now we're forming some small green fruit, but hopefully we'll have our first harvest of ripe honeyberries later this month or in early June. Underneath the honeyberries, we're growing apple mint, dandelion, and lemon balm, which are all easy to grow edible perennials. Before moving on, I wanted to show you a perennial that's growing here in the opening of this keyhole raised bed. Just a moment ago, I showed you the wine cap mushrooms underneath our blackberries. Well, here's a great example of how they'll spread all over your garden, as long as you have a growing medium for them. Here they're growing in wood chips and leaves. We now find wine cap mushrooms popping up all over the place. Our next stop is our Asian pear tree, which we planted a few years ago. If you look closely, you can see many little Asian pears forming. Asian pears don't have the typical pear shape. Instead, they're shaped more like apples. Now let's go take a look at our red-handed peach tree. I only planted this tree last year, and I wasn't expecting any fruit yet. But there are many peaches forming along the branches. So, I have my fingers crossed. I'm really looking forward to some fresh peaches from the garden. And right over there is another edible perennial next to the fence. It's called lovage. You can eat the leaves like parsley, and the stalks like celery. Use it in soups and salads.
You're freaking me out. Come on.
Now let's take a look at 4 perennial leafy greens that are growing here in this bed next to the peach tree. First we have French sorrel. French sorrel may be my favorite perennial leafy green. The flavor kind of reminds me of Granny Smith apples. It's got a little bit of a tartness to it. And we enjoy it raw and in French sorrel soup, which is one of our favorites. All I do to maintain the plants is to cut these seed stalks so that the plants put more energy into producing leaves rather than seeds. We really don't need more plants, we have so many already. And I also make an annual application of compost and mulch, and this is pretty typical for most of our perennials. Right next to this French sorrel is Good King Henry. We eat the leaves and the seed stalks on the Good King Henry plants. The leaves are a little bit tough, but we do eat them raw in mixed green salads. But more often than not, we use them as a spinach substitute in cooked dishes. Good King Henry and French sorrel are 2 of our earliest perennial crops in the spring, especially when grown under double cover here in this low tunnel. Now let's take a look at our sea kale. Sea kale is only hardy in zone 6, but it does fine here in zone 5 under cover. We usually harvest the leaves and eat them like we eat kale or collards, but a more gourmet approach is to blanch the shoots in the spring, and then harvest the shoots when they're young, and serve them like you'd serve asparagus. Now let's take a look at our perennial Sylvetta arugula. Okay, here in the corner of the bed we have our perennial Sylvetta arugula. It's currently being crowded out by a lot of other plants, but it should do fine. Between our perennial arugula and our annual self-sown arugula, we get all the arugula we need without ever having to plant it. Now let's see what perennials we have growing in the hoop house. Here in the back of the hoop house, we have our most productive perennial leafy green, red vein sorrel. I don't like the flavor as much as the French sorrel, but I do like it enough. And we literally harvest it every month of the year, as long as we protect it in winter under double cover. We usually eat red vein sorrel raw with other greens and mixed green salads. Coming back around the outside of our hoop house, we find another one of our favorite perennials, garlic chives. We add garlic chives to a wide variety of recipes, and they're surprisingly cold hardy. When grown under cover, we harvest garlic chives about 9 months out of the year. Coming back around the front of the hoop house, we find another one of our favorite edible perennials, and this one is very special to my wife. My wife's mother gave us our first Egyptian walking onions years ago, and they've been a valued part of our garden ever since. At this time of the year, they form these little bulbs on top. Eventually, the plants will droop over, and the bulbs will plant a new Egyptian walking onion. While we're here, let's take a look at our sunchokes.
Okay.
These flowers will grow to be about 12 feet tall by this fall. After our first frost, I'll cut them back and we'll start